Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Profiles in Riding. Brought to you by Retro Riders. From Lakeside, California, he's the bad boy of Glamis. The big shot on Sky Shot. And the three-time West Coast MX champion. Number 999, Tanner Pies.
Pretty sure that's where I blew up my quad at, so.
This morning we went out to Oldsmobile Hill, had a good time there.
Done one of the biggest jumps you've ever seen a guy do on a three-wheeler.
I mean, they're 300-400 feet, some of them. They're pretty damn big.
I had an idea a while back to do a biography about a great ATC rider. This person could have a lot of awards or none at all. The only criteria was that number one, they love to ride, and number two, they captured the experience of riding old machines.
How good of a rider is Tanner Pies?
I think I've said this a few times before. My initial impression of the guy was he's crazy. And then after watching him, I'd say he's like the best rider I've watched. Honestly, he's I'd love to ride a lot more with that guy, because there's a lot I could learn and improve on.
How is Tanner different from other riders?
I think it goes back to that natural ability. Some guys, they can move around on whatever machine, and he reminds me of that because I know he can ride a quad. I've seen the pictures of him riding trikes. He told me he rode a motorcycle. If you can ride all three of them, you're an excellent rider, especially if you can ride them at a pace like he rides.
What's the coolest thing you've seen Tanner do on a bike?
I think it still goes back to the pictures I've seen online of the sky jump, but then when we were at Glamis, some guys shared some pictures of him jumping a trike down a dune there that looked like a pretty serious jump. So,
I think he was on a 250R jumping down Patton.
Yes. Yep.
American bull rider J.B. Mooney has ridden many bulls thought to be unrideable. His fellow rider Wade Sundell once said of him, "It's a different thing that most people, I guess, don't have in their blood or in their body. You know, it's just a dirty, rotten, tough cowboy." I've come to view ATC riders the same way. Some of it was learned and some of it they were born with. So I called my friend Eric, who's well connected in the three-wheeler community, and went looking for just such a cowboy. Eric knows some great people who deserve a spotlight, but the one we thought would be fun for this episode is a friend of ours in California. A guy with a bit more of a rural upbringing, a modest background, and talent for days. His name is Tanner Pies.
So I consider myself a pretty aggressive rider. So I like to ride aggressive, and finding other guys that like to ride like I do can be a challenge. And it didn't take me but probably 10 seconds of watching Tanner ride that I realized he can ride just as good as me, if not probably better, or he reminds me of myself when I was younger, just riding non-stop, not really taking a break, keep riding. Everybody stops, nah, I'm gonna keep riding, ride the next dune, I'll watch it from over there. I think he's got the natural ability that not everybody has. He kind of rides like he's one with the machine. And I think he was running stock front shocks on it, stock A-arms, stock axle. I mean, it was basically a stock 450R, and he was pushing it harder than most people will push a totally modified one.
I brought a 2004 Honda Trx 450 out with me. Pretty much stock bike, stock arms, stock shocks, but it's just got a high compression piston, porting, and a cam.
Runs pretty good for you?
Oh yeah, it runs nice and happy. I don't like running paddles out here, so I run knobbies so I can get a lot more spin, throw the bike sideways a lot more. I think the 4-strokes is just that bottom end grunt where you don't have to worry about when you're coming out of a bowl or going down something, where you can just hit the throttle or downshift and you can shoot right up something.
Yes, the bowls, man, that's like the best part of Glamis. Honestly, that's why we go to the sand there, is because these mountains of sand and these bowls are so large. And yeah, there's just nothing like flying. Like, I don't know, you usually transition in, you know, and then go up and around. You gotta be maintaining speed too, because if you're not going fast enough, the bike wants to slide and start sending you down. So you really gotta be hauling ass, cranking to get up to the top, and then end up transitioning over that top to the next one. And yeah, I can remember doing that the first time as a teenager. Just what an unsettling feeling that is, to come up to a little bit of an edge, especially with a 3-wheeler with one wheel, and to have to figure out how to transition up and over. Yeah, it definitely takes some practice.
How big are the bowls?
I mean, they're 300-400 feet. Some of them, they're pretty damn big.
So it's day one here, shooting with Tanner out in Glamis. This morning we went out to Oldsmobile Hill, had a good time there. Got there before the buggies, then went over to the flagpole here this afternoon. And right now we are getting ready to gas up again and head over towards Competition Hill.
Well, every day when we're at the dunes, you know, part of the, there's kind of a route we would take. There's stops in the dunes, and we, you know, hit them all as we go throughout our trip on the day. And so every day we stop at the swing set, which is just a fun place to have a break, you know, get hydrated, play on the swings, and then inevitably somebody always fires their bike up and starts launching off this thing. And when we were at the Invasion, that was Tanner and Brad were the two just sending it off that. And it's, man, it's just a lot of fun to sit there and watch this guy. Like, there's no way I'm going to do it. I mean, yeah, I'm not, no. But I don't get it. It scares the crap out of me to see these guys just like fly off, and the landing just disappears below you. And so you just, depending on how fast you shoot that thing, I don't know. I ain't got the balls for it. It's it's a lot of fun to watch though.
Something you really can't handle. A little charge in your heart, ready to dismantle. let you go, but why should I? You're my mission, you're my mission tonight. You're nothing but mine, and the sooner you realize that for all the time, I'm the one you can't sacrifice. I'm the first and the last you'll ever get. You're nothing but mine, and the sooner you realize that for all the time, I'm the one you can't sacrifice. I'm the first and the last you'll ever get. So get up that high horse and beat it.
You told me that you learned a lot about riding in the dunes on a 185S. That's pretty humble roots.
Yeah, all of 8 horsepower, nose rear suspension, big balloon tires, like 2 psi in them.
And how much riding did you do on that 185S?
I probably rode it, 'cause with my hour meter on, I rode it for about 200 hours just in one season.
And you'd take it from camp anywhere in the high dunes?
Anywhere in the high dunes. Like, I'd go from Gordon's Wells to Glamis through the dunes, from Glamis to Gordon's Well, back. You can go anywhere, but you're not getting there fast.
So you're on the 185S and it doesn't have a clutch.
No, it's automatic clutch.
And it's a 5-speed. So you're going up those big hills, you must be just shifting all the time.
Yeah, you never stop shifting.
Up, down, 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 down.
As soon as you start going down, you're shifting up to get bigger speed, and then as soon as you start climbing, you're shifting down.
Yeah. Did you ever ride it at night in the dunes?
Oh, all the time. All the time. It was fun.
Do you think that learning to ride the dunes on a 185S with the balloon tires and no suspension made you a better rider?
Oh yeah, by far. Because you have to be a lot more attentive to what your lines are. Because if you drop into a big bowl, you don't have the power to just climb right out of it. You got to do circles around the bottom and build up speed and build up speed. Sometimes you'll be on them bowls for 10 minutes trying to get out.
What did it feel like moving from a 185S to a 250R?
Oh, night and day difference. It was ridiculous. It's like riding a pedal car and then hopping in a Cadillac.
Was it different learning to do a 2-stroke from the 4-stroke?
Well, in the 250R, it's a completely different world, I think. It's almost a completely different galaxy than riding a 185. Because you have so much more power, suspension, you can throw it sideways whenever you want. You can launch it, and pretty much it's all around one of the best treks ever made.
He's definitely enjoying the whole culture of riding. And when you ride vintage machines hard, you're going to need to know how to turn some wrenches, because most shops don't want to touch the old stuff. Also, if you do want to do some racing, be it on a 185, a 250, or anything else, you're probably going to start doing some upgrades and customization, which again, you'll be doing yourself. Tanner will often walk through camp and talk with people about modifications. He's always checking out forks, swing arms, A-arms, carburetors, exhaust pipes, etc. I've said it before, part of the fun is just owning these old bikes. Part of the fun is riding them, and part of the fun is working on them. And with Tanner, you might get a story out of him about a good crash.
I've probably broken about 15 bones. Broke both my ankles. That one was probably one of the gnarliest wrecks I've had besides Lake Elsinore when I crashed. But I came up short on a 160-foot triple step up on a dirt bike. And I hit the ground so hard on my Tech 10s. They have on the Tech 10s it stops your ankle from rotating at a certain point built into the boots, and it broke both of them. And my ankle wrapped around and my toes touched my shins on both feet when I hit the ground. That one hurt probably the most.
One of my favorite parts about this story isn't about a particular bike or a crash. It's about how the guy became a racer. He didn't have a lot of connections in industry, didn't know his way around very well, but none of that mattered. He had a pickup truck and a 250R. So he hits the road, starts entering every race he can find, and goes crashing on friends' couches all along the way. It's easy to cheer for Tanner because I think most of us in the three-wheeling community love to cheer for the underdog. And this guy came from the back, and before you know it, he became a force to be reckoned with. For someone who doesn't know, what's Unadilla?
Unadilla is a pro MX track. They only run twice a year for the pro ATV series it's televised and the pro motocross guys. And we were able to piggyback with the pro ATV guys in the same weekend so we could race with them.
Any discussion about Tanner Pies must include Unadilla. This is the race where if you weren't a Tanner Pies fan, you became one. Even now, people who aren't ATC riders are still looking at those photos and putting traction on them on social media. My favorite part about them is not even looking at the rider, it's the person cheering. In that photo,
that person represents the entire trike community. I don't know who it is, but I'm glad he was there. And for as many times as riders will hit big jumps, whether it be at Unadilla or anywhere else, the whole three-wheeling riding community will be behind them again, like in that photo.
So before the dunes, I knew of him because I'm a three-wheeler enthusiast, and he's done one of the biggest jumps you've ever seen a guy do on a three-wheeler, doing the sky jump. I think only a couple guys have done it, so.
Did you see the video of him jumping sky shot at Unadilla?
Yes.
What'd you think?
That guy was f***ing crazy. That's what I thought. Was like, what? Just, no way, no.
Yeah, I was dreaming about racing that track when they first let the trikes run it with the quads. I was dreaming about that jump for 2 years, planning to go to that race.
And what bike did you race at Unadilla?
85 250R that was heavily built for that track. All kinds of suspension work, motor work, Nerf bars. Basically nothing was stock on it.
How many guys were in that race with you?
I think it was about 35, 40 trikes altogether.
All in one moto?
Yep,
And how many guys hit that jump?
only 2.
And you're one of them.
Yep.
Were you planning to hit that jump?
Oh yeah, that's the whole reason I went, was for this guy's shot.
So you knew how big that jump was?
Yeah, but I only saw it in videos, so it's when you get out there in person and it's just this huge wall, and when it's a blind landing, you don't see any of the landing from takeoff. It was extremely intimidating.
So walk us through on that track. You kind of come out of a left turn and then it kind of drops down almost like a valley.
Yeah, you kind of drop into a valley, and the whole turn down to the straight right before the jump is all off camber, so you're sideways trying to not eat crap on this turn, and then you level up and it's just bang 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 on the gears and you're hitting lip.
What gear do you think you were in on that jump?
I'd say about third gear wide open.
Okay.
Because I was geared up pretty high for that track.
And what's in your field of view as you're coming down the approach? What do you see?
All you see is this huge wall where the lip is, and as soon as you hit that, you come up, and you're about 25 feet in the air off the ground, and the landing drops down in another valley, and the whole rest of the track's in front of it, so you just see this huge open valley. It's nothing else like I've ever ridden.
So you can't see any of the landing as you're approaching it.
No, you can't even see the tabletop.
When you're up there at the top part of the jump, do you look around? Do you think about stuff? What's going through your head?
Usually you're thinking about the landing.
Yeah.
Like, you're praying to God you don't come up short, because you're going in the hospital for a while if you do. You hit the ground hard on that track when you come down.
So tell us about the landing. You come up 25 feet up in the air. You land sloping downwards.
Yeah, it's about a 150 foot long downslope for the landing, but you don't want to overshoot it, because the higher up you go in that jump, the harder you're going to land. So you kind of want to land right after the tabletop crests down. And that's like the butter spot where it's the softest.
And how hard is the landing?
Oh, I bent my axle in 3 different spots from that race. I was hitting the ground so hard.
It's pretty hard. You gonna do it again?
That's the hope. Next year I'm planning on bringing about 3 bikes with me back east to race.
And you'd like to go back to Sky Shot?
Yeah, that's the biggest one on the list, because my dream was at the Sky Shot, and the second one was to win the race, but couldn't do that the first year. So I'm going to go back next year to see if I can win the race and hit the jump some more. It's just, I don't even have the words for it, how different it is from West Coast riding, from being in the dunes, even the MX tracks out here. Nothing compares to the Sky Shot.
The problem is the alchemy. It just might be the death of me, 'cause I know that I'm stuck.
So riding in the dunes at night, it brings it to a whole nother level than during the day. It's exciting. It's usually cool out. There's less people. It's very enjoyable. But all those dangerous things that can kill you during the day will kill you twice as quick at night if you're not a good rider.
I actually have a video. I didn't realize until I shot the other video. We were hanging out one night. It was the night you guys went on a night ride, and I was trying to film him on his bike with that terrible orange headlight because he was jumping everything in sight, and all you saw was this headlight whipping around the sand. And the video didn't come out very good at all, but I can actually hear you saying, there's no way I would go with him and ride like this at night.
Maybe during the day. Maybe. But like at night, no way.
And an hour later, riding with him at night.
And it was the best thing I've ever
2
done.
hours.
Yeah.
You guys came back, ate, gassed up, and then went back out again.
Oh my God, you're right. We did. We came, we geared up, and we went out again.
Well, it started out as myself, Jake, and Tanner. Jake's on 350X. Tanner's on his 450R quad. I'm on my Husky 501 BBC conversion trike. We went everywhere. I just followed Tanner. All I did was I rode as hard as I could to try to stay on his ass and not get left behind and be like, look at this guy. He's on this trike and he's just following right behind me. I've never met him before. You know, kind of, you know, trying to do that thing where, you know, hey, I could ride too, you know. And
yeah, man, that guy on his like chromed out 660 or whatever. And he felt the same way Brad and I did. It was just like, holy shit, boys, it's the most fun I've ever had. Like, I mean, at night, he's basically blind. He might as well not have a headlight. The thing sucks so bad. And we're moving at a pace like 15 to 20 miles an hour faster on average than our daytime rides. Insanity, man. It was, let's go back.
Brad told me he looked at his onboard computer from that ride, and the average speed was 45 miles an hour.
Yeah, I know.
Through the high dunes at night.
At night, and he's blind. Like, it just, yeah. Oh, man. I'm there right now. Heck yeah.
night riding is dangerous.
But my favorite was, I don't remember which wall it was, but we're all down at the base of one wall, and this guy's just ripping the wall repeatedly. Flying up the thing, across it, wheeling it, airing out of it on top, airing back down into the thing, and just all on knobby tires, whipping the quad around. You go halfway up and just turn, and then do a 180 and turn back up the thing. It's just incredible to watch.
did you think the first time you saw Hill 5?
I thought, I can't wait to climb this thing. It's great. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's where I blew up my quad at, so.
For somebody who's not been over there, try to describe what it's like to look at and what's going through your head when you're looking at it and you're getting ready to go up it.
You need to, you're thinking about, do I have enough machine to make it up this hill? Because it may not seem as bad when you look at it, but once you start going up the bottom, you're like, man, I'm barely up this thing. I need to have some power. I need to be hitting it with some speed. If you don't have that, you're not going to make it up. So you better be good at doing a U-turn or turning around or whatever you're going to do when you can't make it up.
How fast are you going when you go up Hill 5?
It again depends on your machine. If you got something high horsepower, you could start at the bottom and really power through it, but you're going to have something with some high horsepower to do that. So otherwise, if you're hitting it on, let's say you're on a 350X, you're probably going to be wide open third or fourth gear to maybe make it up, and you're going to be shifting down gears to get to the top.
I thought it was pretty radical, because it's definitely intimidating when you're on the bottom and you just see this huge wall of sand. And when you're on it, it's almost like vertical toward the top.
What was your first impression of shooting up Hill 5?
Hill 5 is just kind of ridiculous because there's, it's just crazy steep, and I think you said it's like 250 feet tall, something like that, right? So it's like this wall, essentially, and it's flat before it, but it just kind of shoots up. And so you have to get enough speed to take you up the thing, but you can't get going too fast because the whoops and then the dip right before. So you've got to have your body position proper, speed proper, so that when you hit that final dip, you're almost kind of preloading your suspension into it to help launch you up the top. And then it's just stay on the gas as hard as you can. And on a three-wheeler, lean forward a bit, you know, get up on the gas tank, especially on that one, because as the closer you get to the top, the steeper it begins to get, and that front wheel always wants to come up. And I remember that being like the scariest part of doing it several years ago the first time. It's like, in my mind, I thought I was going to flip over backwards and roll down this hill. It was so steep. So,
do most people hit Hill 5?
No, a lot of people end up just parking and watching, and they talk about going, and they try to work up the courage to go up the thing, and then they don't do it. So, and then, you know, a good portion of the people that do attempt it, at least the first few times when you've not done it, they don't end up making it. You get, you know, 2/3, 3/4 of the way up, and they've got to hook a left or a right and come back down and try again.
Usually I like to start probably 200 yards before the start of the hill so I can get up good 45, 50 miles an hour in fifth gear. And by the time you're halfway up, you're shooting down into fourth, and another 100 yards, you're going down into the third, and then second right at your crest in the hill.
So you're going to use almost all your gears on the hill?
Almost all your gears, and you're just wide open as you're slamming gears down to try and stay. It's a fight, because as soon as you start getting to the steeper angle on China Wall, you can feel it just sucking the power out of the bike. So you got to downshift multiple times.
I'll be a god in this messy catacombs. Although my feet long
I've ridden hundreds, if not thousands of miles in the sand, and the riding with him is the most fun I've had in my life. His heart and soul belongs in the sand, like he was born there or something. He's made for it. And that's not something I've experienced with any other people. It's like the dunes are his natural element.
Do you ever just come out here to get away from things and just
I
kind of go cruising?
This is my second home. If I didn't live in San Diego, I would live in a trailer out here by far. This is home to me. Like, I come out in the summertime all the time. I come out in the winter, big weekends, you name it, I'll be out here.
In retro news, law enforcement was called to action for an unusual cause this morning. Several noise complaints were filed when an unknown rider was spotted driving a three-wheeler through the million-dollar neighborhoods of the world-famous Hollywood Hills. Police are searching for this man, who was described by multiple witnesses as mid-20s and approximately 6'4". The suspect was last seen riding a Honda 250R, heading southeast on the 86, and is believed to be heading towards the Imperial Sand Dunes. Speculation is swirling that the unknown rider is Tanner Pies. Pies is best known for his big air at Grand Canyon, or the time he totaled his Fourtrax during the first lap at Sherwood Raceway, only to then leap onto his 185S and get back in the race and pull off a big upset. To follow more on this story and others, please go to 250rmagazine.com.
No talking, no moving around, no nothing. You gotta sit quietly. Rip when I was out there as a kid.
Step up was scary. That one, you had like 4 seconds of airtime. You could. It was like, as soon as I left the ground, it's like, oh. Whoa. Whoa. What's going on?
And almost fell asleep at the top of that super high dune.
I like to go sidewalk. I think it's really fun when you're just sitting sideways and you're just churning the rear tires as you're just going diagonally across the hill. I think it's fun.
I have gum in my mouth.
The one year I came out here 15 times in the summertime on the 185S.